Sound scene 1. Hello and welcome, my name is Jason Jewell, professional illusionist and philosopher, and this video is entitled The Crazy Complex Counterintuitive Concepts of Belief. Believe it or not, that's pretty accurate. Counterintuitive. Adjective. Contrary to intuition or to common sense expectation, but often, nevertheless, true. Play the title sequence. Okay, so here's the thing. In my opinion, belief is quite possibly one of the most counterintuitive concepts in all of philosophy. However, after watching this video, you will have an academically sufficient understanding of the nature of belief. We will define very important terms, we will address common objections, we will answer frequently asked questions, and most importantly, we will learn some very counterintuitive facts about belief. Before we get started, we have to address a very unfortunate and all too often asked question, which is, who cares? Chapter 1. Who cares? Look, it's no secret that arguments pop up left and right on the internet, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. With social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube, we have a kind of marketplace of ideas where we can, in real time, test out our arguments, our claims, and assertions. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a very familiar position in which we're in the middle of debating someone on a specific claim or disagreement, and seemingly out of nowhere they will ask, who cares what other people believe? Why should I care what you believe? Why do you care what I believe? This essentially comes down to one question, which is the first counterintuitive lesson about belief. Should we care about the thoughts and beliefs of others? And the answer is simple and straightforward. The answer is yes, we should care about the beliefs and thoughts of others. Why do so many people believe otherwise? Well, it's what they've been taught, and subconsciously, people have a habit of associating caring about other people's beliefs with agreeing with those beliefs. And that's simply not the case. Although it may seem counterintuitive, why should we care about the beliefs of others? So, first of all, beliefs inform our actions. We act in accordance with our beliefs. The actions that we take is motivated by that which we believe is true or not true. Secondly, our actions, like all actions, have consequences. There is no action that you can take, big or small, that will not, on some level, have some sort of reaction or consequence. Lastly, we don't live in a vacuum. These consequences affect us and those around us. Essentially, the beliefs that we hold as a society shape that society by the actions that we take. And this is why it's very important to care about the beliefs that we have. As Matt Dillahunty would say, I want to live in a world where people believe in more true things than false things, because this is how we create an informed and educated society, which in turn is how we make a morally sufficient society. There's no hidden secret. We've known this all along. So to answer the original question, who cares? There's a lot of people who care. We have both public and private schools that teach us for almost 12 years of our lives what beliefs are considered to be true and what beliefs are considered to be false. We have lawyers that are professionally trained to identify evidence that supports their client's claim, so they can potentially convince a jury what to believe and what not to believe. Virtually every company in existence have almost unlimited marketing concepts meant to promote the idea that their product is in fact better than the competition. Look, caring about the beliefs of others is a fundamental characteristic of our nature. It's how we're able to function as a society and live together. Okay, so now you know who cares about the beliefs of others and why we should care about the beliefs of others. However, what is it? What is belief? And what is knowledge for that matter, and how do they relate to each other? Is one better than the other? Do you have to have one or the other? Can you not have both? Is knowledge even possible? Did I leave my oven on? Chapter 2. What is belief? So while the concept of belief may be counterintuitive and complex, the definition of belief is pretty easy. A belief is the act of accepting a claim, statement, or idea as true, or corresponding to reality. It is really that simple. If you take a concept or an idea and you accept it as true, you believe it. Funny enough, have you ever heard somebody say, "I don't believe it, I know it," or "I don't believe it's true, I know it's true"? This is the flawed statement that is our second counterintuitive aspect of belief. So what does knowledge mean? What does it mean to know something? Okay, so here's the thing. The term know, K-N-O-W, to know something, can mean two things, and to our mistake, we use this interchangeably without caution. So the first usage of the word know that we're going to address is to be familiar with or aware of. Do you know about Batman? Do you know about China? Do you know about science? Do you know these things? Are you aware of them? Are you familiar with what they are? But we are going to be focusing on the second usage of the word know, the less used but more recognized version of the word. Philosophically, to know something is to have absolute certainty. When you claim that you know something, you're claiming to have absolute certainty of this thing. You can't be wrong. So here's the part that people have trouble with, and it's usually phrased by saying, in order to believe something is true, you have to first know that it's true. This is backwards. It's actually, in order to know something, you must believe it first. In order to know something is true, you must first believe it's true. To some people, this may sound completely backwards, and I understand. So, let's examine it just a little bit closer. So, a belief is when we accept a claim, statement, or idea as true, while knowledge is when we assert absolute certainty of said belief. So, what does it mean to say knowledge is a subset of belief? Well, what is a subset? Alright, here is how subsets work. All apples are fruit, but not all fruit is an apple. Just as all bananas are fruit, but not all fruit is a banana. This makes bananas and apples subsets of fruit. All cars are vehicles, but not all vehicles are cars. Just as all trucks are vehicles, but not all vehicles are trucks. And this makes cars and trucks a subset of vehicle. We want to think of belief as the subset because subconsciously we put knowledge as a higher standard. This is flawed thinking. You see, all claims to knowledge or absolute certainty are things that you also believe, but not all beliefs are claims to absolute certainty. And that's what makes a knowledge a subset of belief and not the other way around. But surprisingly enough, that's not the only subset of belief that exists. An opinion is a subset of belief. All of your opinions are things that you believe, but not all of your beliefs are opinions. Philosophically, the terms knowledge and opinion have their own counterintuitive characteristics. Let's start with an easy one, or one that seems to be easy. An opinion.
All personality.
You know, sometimes it seems like the world got along just fine, and then one day we woke up and hated each other. This is less about the nature of the population, or even the size of the population, and more about the change in the conduits of our communication. Almost overnight, we went from having a very limited set of choices concerning our communication to being able to speak to virtually anyone, anywhere, anytime. It is an understatement to say that social media has done something special here. It essentially removed the usual and ever-present abstract boundaries that we've placed in the world, like time, distance, language, clicks. Now a middle-aged man might find himself arguing against a 13-year-old girl about what cloud formations most likely signal rainfall. Some gang member from East LA might find himself arguing with some Jewish guy in New York about what is or is not in the Bible. Now two different people who speak completely different languages can simply download an app in order to translate languages of other cultures. On social media, we meet people all the time that we wouldn't normally encounter out in public. And as I've stated before, this is not a bad thing. It's really important not to underestimate just how vital it is for us to be able to have a peaceful and rational discourse without it developing into some angry exchange of insults and sarcasm, especially considering how polarizing the current political climate is. Take Donald Trump, for example. How many debates about Donald Trump's legitimacy as a president do you think have taken place since he's been in office? Now, don't worry, I'm not here to make any political assertions or claims. In fact, this is not about whose opinions are true and whose opinions are false. This is about what opinions are, and most importantly, what opinions are not. As ironically counterintuitive as this may seem, the idea that an opinion can be true or false is completely nonsensical. Which brings us to the third counterintuitive lesson about belief, specifically one of the subsets of belief, opinionated beliefs, also known as an opinion. Okay, I want you to take a good look at this question. Is Donald Trump guilty or not guilty of committing crimes while in office? Okay, so some people say he's guilty, others disagree, and debates on this topic can and have lasted for days. As evidence is presented and rejected, claims and assertions are made and evaluated. However, there is one type of assertion that is mistakenly made almost every day, sometimes by accident, and sometimes so they can get out of backing up a claim that they recently made. And it can be found in a conversation much like this. Can you believe what people say about Donald Trump? Mr. Trump is clearly innocent of the accusations people make about him. No, Trump is definitely guilty. He has broken the law many times while he was in office. No, you are wrong. Donald Trump is not guilty. He never did anything against the law. CNN is just lying about him. It's fake news. No, I'm afraid Donald Trump is definitely guilty. He has broken the law many times while he was in office. Okay, well, that's just your opinion, and everyone has opinions, and your opinion of Donald Trump is wrong. Okay, but is it? Is it just his opinion? Now, curiously, if I were to say no, that is not just his opinion, the response that I would get back usually looks something like this. Oh, you don't think it's just his opinion? So you think Donald Trump is guilty? Can you even prove that Donald Trump is guilty? My response to this is a very straightforward no. This misconception drives me crazy. The action of recognizing any given statement is not an opinion does not equate to asserting or claiming that that statement is true. I'm gonna say that one more time. The action of recognizing that any given statement is not an opinion does not equate to asserting or claiming that that statement is true. And if that seems odd, that's understandable. After all, we were taught that opinions and facts are direct opposites. They're not. But I'm not just gonna tell you they're not. I am going to, in full detail, explain why they're not. And for this, we can summon a helper, a savior, if you will, an ironically unspoken hero that we know as the lexical tools of academically accurate and advantageous vocabulary, specifically with the express purpose of eliminating, to the best of our abilities, the potential for conversational confusion concerning conceptually complex conditions containing counterintuitive content. Translation: learning the proper definitions with respect to academic terminology is the most effective way to begin learning any subject or topic, helping you identify misconceptions that others might miss. For example, Donald Trump broke numerous laws while in office. So the literal reason why this statement is not an opinion is because it is either true or false, which makes it more than just a statement. It's a proposition, and not just any proposition, it's an assertion. Not gonna lie, it can get confusing sometimes, but fret not. Proper terminology comes to save the day, and with two of my favorite terms in philosophy, subjective and objective. Okay, these two terms, subjective and objective, describes two ends of a dichotomy that, when understood, I promise will help you understand, among other things, what an opinion really is. This two-sided dichotomy is as follows. Number 1, that which is dependent on a thinking mind to exist. This describes subjectivity. Number 2, that which is not dependent on a thinking mind to exist. This describes objectivity. Okay, so that is what they mean in their most basic, their most raw form. But if we apply them to other terms, they can become so much more. And a lot of things can be placed in these two categories of objectivity and subjectivity. The more you examine them, the more familiar you become with them, the more you understand how they relate to us and everything around us. Sometimes only us. So before we apply objectivity and subjectivity to individual statements in order to better understand what an opinion is, let's apply it to a couple other things first, starting with laws. Okay, so philosophically, all laws are placed in two major categories: prescriptive laws and descriptive laws. Prescriptive laws are laws that we create and prescribe. We enforce and follow these laws, and they exist because others enforce and follow them as well. The speed limit is one of many examples of a prescriptive law. Descriptive laws. These are laws that we discover and describe, either with language, mathematics, or both. These laws are discovered rather than invented. The laws of physics and biology, these are descriptive laws.